Well, good morning, everybody. Independence Day. How I spent my 4th of July in the bathroom taking apart plumbing, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Missy's still resting up for today's adventure, but the whole point today is to try to remove a lot of this old plumbing and venting so that we can make room to get the new stuff in. And specifically, I'll get you in here, bring the camera in a little closer, and show you what I'm talking about. Oh, gotta have that morning coffee though. Ooh. Over here on the shower side, we want to be replacing that P-tube and moving it more out towards the center location. I've decided not to go with the linear drain due to the fact that there's more potential for that leaking, but I have a nice square drain I'll be putting in. But want to be able to take apart the shower stack here, remove that, and we're going to be replacing that with PEX and moving that shower head to a higher position. We're also going to be raising those control valves up to a higher position, putting on a single mixer. It mixes hot and cold, and that's really the modern way to go, and it's it's the best way to do it. So that's going to be relatively easy, provided we can break these connections. And I've liberally sprayed them, and Jen has too, through the week with WD-40. We're going to be removing the water pipe for the toilet feed here, and we're going to be positioning that over to a new position. I think I'm in pretty good shape underneath. I've gone under there and done an initial inspection for the joist, so I'm not running into any joists when I run new piping. So that has to be shifted over. But today we're not going to be putting new in. We're going to be getting stuff removed and putting caps in it, temporary caps into those water lines, because there's a continuous water line that runs under here, and it comes over here also, and it feeds the sink. So we want to remove the two up feeds for that, and also this vent stack has to be changed out. You know, according to code, as long as you don't position the toilet more than 3 feet from the vent stack, which it is right now, the toilet was positioned right over the vent stack, as you can see there. As long as the final position in moving isn't more than 3 feet from the vent stack, then there's no situation with code violation. We're only going to be removing it to this area over here, so we're good and safe. We don't have to move out the venting there, nor do we have to change out the venting for the shower. What we do need to do is to change the venting out for the sink here, which means we have to cut the pipe up there, and we have to cut the vent pipe down below. You can't really see it, it's under the flooring there. And remove that and cap off those two water lines, because we're going to be moving that vent stack to between these two studs right here, and then running up the be enough room to run the water lines up either on the outside, or the one can run inside the stud and the other on the outside. And then we're going to add new blocking or support to the wall to hold up the sink. We're going to need to add some blocking to the bottom. We need a good surface for the, and blocking, I mean 2x10s, 2x6s, along the bottom of what is going to be the shower stall, because it has to be able to, you have to have something to get the vinyl liner, the shower liner, hooked onto good all the way around. So we're going to put that blocking, and we also need to put blocking on the walls for things like handles and support handles. For Jen, you have grab bars and stuff like that, so we really have to think ahead and get stuff done really, the key is just thinking ahead so you don't have to do it later. You go to put a grab bar on and it's like, geez, I've got nothing to stick on here. So it's going to be a very exciting project day today. Okay, you can see the first thing I'm doing is removing the shower piece of galvanized pipe, and I'm not going to throw this pipe away. A lot of this stuff is in really good shape, and when you're I don't want to say I'm a hoarder, but I think everything always has a good use to it. A little bit of water will come down out of the bottom of that, which is fine. There was some water stuck up in top of the top there. Let that just drain down. There we go. good. So our first pipe connection is broken, and of course that's secured up on top with some twist wire and a little bit of a nail. So I'll go get the pliers and remove that. So we are underway. Alright, well that went pretty well. We're not at the point quite where we need to cut the water off yet, so I decided to address the vent over top of the sink. And a lot of people wonder, why do you need, if you have a toilet, why do you need a vent? If you have a shower, why do you need a vent over top of it? And that's all, morning honey, that's all this is. Here she's sticking her head around there. All this is venting all this big galvanized pipe here. And the reason you need that is if you had a closed system, you would create vacuums down there, and as the waste went down, it would create a pulling vacuum to the point where it would stop going down the pipe easily, and then you would start to develop clogs. By putting air over top of the waste line, over top of the waste port, you introduce air pressure from outside, which helps equalize the pressure in underneath of the waste and over top of the waste, which helps it flow very, very easily. So what I'm doing now, I've got the reciprocating saw, and I've got some special metal cutting, carbide tipped metal cutting blades, and I'm starting to cut away the vent stack over the sink here, as you can see, and it cuts pretty easy. There's no way I'd ever be able to remove that because the whole thing is joined together. So I'm cutting here, and of course we'll be joining on with a Fernco coupling to come over further for our new vent stack, so it's not that big of a deal. So I've cut it up at the top there. I'll now go cut it at the bottom and remove this from the, grab this from the top, take this out and pull it out. Have to temporarily remove the medicine cabinet. We like it because it's got the mirror on it, and girls like to apply their makeup, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that. I might cut it down low so I pull the whole thing out from the bottom. I'll probably get down on the ground and do that. If I do, you'll be down there with me. Morning, Missy. We're making good progress today, huh? We've removed the stack over top of the stink. You can tell what I'm smelling in here, huh? So now I'm down below. I would need to drop down below and cut the lower pipe at a point where that one is, and I have to be careful. There could be fluids in that lower section, so I don't want the pipe dropping down on me. So you can see I clamped the top of it with a vice grip. That way, when I cut it from below, she won't be dropping down on my face. So when you have the right blade, that Diablo metal cutter for that thing, just like butter. It went through like butter on that thing. So I'm happy about that. So before you know it, we'll be back rebuilding the stack. What you have to do is notch in to extend this over here and then on down, and we've gained a lot of room. We're going to be very precise though with our measurements, and we're going to know what that sink projects from the wall, and we're going to do a little modeling here, because you still need, even though your chair can go underneath of the sink, because it's going to be, you know, it's going to be nothing, it's going to be access free. In other words, there's no impediment or a cabinet under there. We want to make sure it's still easy wheeling to get in here. We don't want to blow the whole game because we're so happy about the shower that, oh, now you can't get in. Now you can't get in. Yeah, I have to give you a pot to go in the hall, and that's it, you know. So, you know, it's kind of tough, all right. So you're not happy about that. So, all right, so I'm going to set up to get down below, get the reciprocating saw, and get that lower one cut. And it's gonna be there'll be a little more I need to do. We're not quite to the point where we're gonna cut the water off yet, but gonna have a good cup of coffee before I do that.
I've got a pot with water.
Yeah, we need to fill every pot that we can do, because this could be all for you know, if I don't get these things plugged up. So we'll see. Small. All right. Alright, that cut that pipe through. And I've left enough of a stubble in there to easily put a new Fernco coupling on to send it over. I really don't want to break this big major joint here by putting another up coupling here, because I want to be able to continue to use the sink and all the other things that are draining out here. So that's a good plenty fit, and there's plenty of room up inside of the slot there to run the pipe over a little bit, so we get that centered up. So all right, time to go topside. All right guys, got the out valves removed from the sink area over here, and now it's time we're entering into the really high risk zone of the whole deal. We have to disconnect these water pipes from down at the bases down there. You can see we got a hot feed on the left and we've got a cold on the right. And what I don't want to do is snap off one of these fittings for a nice raw piece of metal. I want to try to break the connections at the elbows there to keep it nice and neat. Then we can run up some new PEX lines in the future. So there's not a lot of give to this galvanized. There's a couple tricks, tapping it a little bit to set up some vibration to hopefully loosen it, which I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on the tripod and keep your fingers crossed. Oh, she's moving, boys. He's moving. He's moving. Oh, God, she is moving. One down. 4 to go. Let's see about loosening this one. This one over here. Oh, that one was already pretty damn loose, boys. Look at that. Alright, well, there we go. Oh. There we go. There we go, boys. Oh, wow. We talk about heart-stopping excitement. We should be able to put those plugs right down in there. Let's get this mofo off. Yeah. Get a good bite there. Alright. Finish working that mofo off. We can't do it by hand yet. Don't be greedy, Rosie. Don't be greedy. So good. Enough there. Nope, still not enough. Oh, Rosie, you greedy little wench. Wench with the wrench. There we go. All right, boys. There's the cold water feed. All right. How awesome is that? There we go. All right, so we didn't break any pipe on those two. Simple matter coming back later, and popping the caps in them, get a little Teflon tape, and forget about it today. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, guys. You know, Chairman Mao was famous for saying, what, honey? He was famous for saying, life is class struggle. Well, Chairman Mao never did a fucking plumbing job, so I'll tell you that right now. If he did, he would have thought, class struggles getting these pipes out. So far we're 60%. The hell with Chairman Mao, right? What the hell did he know?
Long live
Chairman Mao. There we go. All right, so we got one, we've got two here, and now we just broke. I don't know if you can see it. There's our third connection inlet. So I probably don't have the right size cap, so I'm going to have to run down to the store to cap off that one there. And I don't want to wait too late today, because Home Creepo might close kind of early. So we're down to our last two, so it's important that I take that little piece of pipe section. Did I give that to you, that little piece?
It's on that short one?
Yeah, the short nib. It's important to keep that, because that's the connector. So I think I'm going to stop now. And I'm going to dry fit some of the connectors I bought and make a quick trip down there. Okay, so long live Chairman Mao. Oh, well, I'm underneath now, and some of the best and easiest connections to crack on Galvanized are some of the ones that have the inner ring on there, spacer ring. And that works pretty good. But you want to buy this stuff at the store called PB spray. It smells like hell, but it really penetrates in there, and it really helps loosen the joints. You also want to tap those joints. You know, take a wrench or a hammer, hit them, don't bust them, but just tap them a bit, and that helps loosen some of the rust inside too. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this loosening this one, and we'll be 80% of the way there. Okay guys, happy to say we've busted loose all the connectors now are free. You can see them back in there. So I could not be happier. Here, I gotta put something in that, a rag, but oh, you can see some of the connectors we took out, and you can see some of the buildup inside of that galvanized, some of that rust. So when you're wondering why you're getting weird pressures, a lot of time it's because you're filled up your galvanized. But the nice thing now is all of this PEX tubing will come up with adapters off at the bottom. And I'll probably put shut-off valves for the hot and cold up there, and shut-off valves for the toilet down below and the sink, just to give an extra measure of protection. Red handle and blue handle cutoff, so an individual item can be isolated from the plumbing. It makes a lot of sense, but well, you know, praise God, we didn't bust any connectors off. We didn't bust any pipes, or we didn't twist. We just took our time. This PB, I really recommend this stuff, even though we use WD-40. You know, I think this stuff had greater penetrating capabilities. So now it's time to get the Teflon tape out, get some of the plugs, and go back and plug up all the spots now that we're going to we're going to stop the plumbing for a while. This was the big hump day. This was the equivalent to getting over top of the Rocky Mountains there. And routing the lines in the future should be an absolute breeze now for the plumbing, because of the flexibility that PEX tubing allows. That's PEX, and it's great stuff, and it's very dependable, which I really like, and it's very affordable. So I'm going to crawl out of here now and go pee, and then we'll talk a little bit more after we get the plugs in, and I've got a lot of the plugs to go in, and then we'll talk about what's next on the agenda. All right, you can see we got all of our plugs in here. We got one down in there, you can probably see it, and then we got two up and down there, one in sort of the back. And Jennifer's going to go out now, and we're going to pressurize the water again. And this will be nice. This will allow us to have water in the rest of the house. I was really nervous today, in case we broke a pipe or something like that. We'd really be in trouble on the 4th of July holiday. But yeah, the water's coming back in the lines now. I think we should be okay. And I can hear it coming in. Yeah, if your house doesn't have a water shut-off, a main one, boy, you should really have one in case something ever happened. Alright, don't worry about that rot. We're going to underfill that today too, so I don't see any leaks or anything. So I think, I believe, guys, we are good to go. So that's going to conclude the plumbing portion. And it was like I say, major victory today, because we were able to crack off all the old piping here for the sink, the toilet fill, and for the shower without any bad incidents occurring today, right? Which makes you happy your house is not destroyed here today with water flying everywhere. So we're repressurizing. We'll start the hot water heater up, because it'll probably be a week or so, and we'll have to drain the lines again when we go to hook up the PEX. But I'll probably have a, I was telling the people on YouTube and Daily Motion, I will probably have each individual hot and cold shut off for each individual, for the sink and for the toilet and for the shower. So just in case something ever breaks loose, we can at least isolate that that thing there. So, all right, I want to thank you for being here this morning. I guess it's about 1 o'clock now, so yeah, about that. So it didn't take that long. We probably spent about 4 hours. I had to make a trip to Home Depot to get the plugs. So we're going to go ahead and fully pop the water on, and then I'm going to come back with part 2 of today's activity. So thanks for watching the removal of the old galvanized plumbing. And remember, make sure you spray first and tap that joint before you try to remove it. And always use 2 wrenches with opposing forces. And even better, the best way I found is make sure that you tighten a little bit. It's counterintuitive, but tighten on that connection a little bit and then loosen it. You know, it works like a charm. Whenever I went to tighten that and then backed it off. That's an old plumber trick from a guy 45 years old. 45 years working the old school plumbing. Never fails. So work good today. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. For me and my able assistant over here, who's got a smile on her face, ear to ear. Thanks for watching.